You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Thanks so much for joining me here today on part 2 of our Cabral HouseCalls. Yesterday, we got to answer so many great questions from the community. We answered some on the liver and gallbladder cleanse that we haven't talked about for quite some time. We talked about whether the Dr. Cabral Daily Protocol was okay for nursing or pregnant women. We talked about what else do we have going on. Is stevia okay? Is a copper IUD fine? Or is it safe or not? We talked about some exercise ones, which was great. So many great questions yesterday. I want you to tune into that. Simply go to stephencabral.com/911 for yesterday's shows. Or as always, and I'll be quoting it today, go to stephencabral.com/podcasts, and that will give you all of the previous podcasts, all the 911 previous podcasts that I've completed. And you're able to search that. We have a search bar right on that page. You'll be able to get your answers. So tune in yesterday where you can get your questions answered basically same day, Monday through Friday as well. So check that out. All right, I want to get started with today's show. The reason is I want to get through as many questions as possible. I always look forward to being able to answer these questions each and every Saturday and Sunday, and hopefully you enjoy following along. And as I always say, not every question is going to apply to you, but hopefully when the question comes up in your life or a loved one's life, you'll be able to pass that information on to them. All right, let's get started. So, episode 912 today, that's where all the show notes will be. The first question's coming in from Janine. Janine's writing in, Dear Team Stephen, first of all, I would like to say I absolutely love your podcast. It's very inspiring. I have a question about the 21-day detox. I live in the Netherlands, so is it possible for me to order the daily nutritional support powder? What can I choose instead of the powder to make my morning shake so I get all the protein and vitamins I need? Thank you for your answer regarding this. All right. So Janine, great question. We will hopefully be delivering to Europe and all of Europe, actually 22 more countries, believe it or not, 22 more countries. Really looking forward to that late this fall. So stay tuned for that. Right now, we're not able to deliver the Dr. Cabral Detox or the Dr. Cabral Daily Protocol, which includes the daily nutritional support powder to Europe, but we will. We really will be able to. Looking forward to that. The only reason that we're not right now is that we want to try to provide the best customer support and customer service that we can. And right now we're still working on fine-tuning our shipping. In the future, you're going to see 3-day shipping, which I think will be pretty phenomenal, 2 to 3 day shipping. And that's only going to come with us switching to a logistics firm that actually can make that happen. And we'll also be able to get, believe it or not, within the same week to Australia from the United States. So looking forward to that. That's coming soon. Janine, for right now, I apologize, and I don't know a lot of the European brands to give you an alternative. But what a lot of people can do is they could use something like a hemp protein powder and then use something like the daily activated multivitamin that we offer to get a lot of the minerals with the vegan-based protein first thing in the morning for their smoothie. It's not the same, but at least it's a pretty good alternative for now. All right, hopefully that helps. Deanna is up next. Hi there, I've been dealing with intestinal issues since 2010. I eat relatively healthy, drink lots of water and exercise. I've tried diets and pills, but it never seems to answer my problems. I drink a lot of herbal tea every night in order to have a bowel movement in the morning. I don't have extreme symptoms, but I have occasional gas and bloating, and I'm always constipated and very irritable. I feel I may have bacterial overgrowth. I want to get to the bottom of this and heal my gut, rebalance my gut, and go on to live a nice, healthy life that doesn't revolve around my gut issues. Could you please help me with this? I'm willing to do whatever it takes. Thank you, Deanna. All right, Deanna, great question. And yes, we're happy to help you with this. I apologize that you wrote in at the beginning of May with this. Just wanted to let everybody know we are about 2.5 months or so behind on the Cabral HouseCall questions, and that's simply because they're answered in the way that they come in. So first come, basically first served, and we're only able to answer somewhere between 15 and 20 a weekend. But remember, all these questions will be answered right inside cabralsupportgroup.com. So Deanna, though, what I'm recommending for you, though, right now is that you run the organic acids test. Number 2 would be the stool test. And number 3 would be the food sensitivity test, in that order. So that if you can only afford one, you do the organic acids test. If you can afford 2, it would be great for you to do the organic acids test and the stool test. That would be amazing. And then if you're able to kind of round that out for the gut, you would do the food sensitivity test. All of those links are available at stevencabral.com/912, today's show. Or you can go right over to equilibriumnutrition.com and click on the labs navigation bar tab at the top. That will tell you exactly what is going on with your gut. Not kind of, it'll tell you exactly what's going on. I read your labs. I'll give you my recommendation. Our health coaches will take you through the exact regimen for you, and you will get the answers that you're looking for. All right, Linda's up next. Let's see what Linda is saying. Your site was recommended. Their health was improved over 3 months. So Linda's saying our site was recommended, and we helped someone over a period of 3 months. I've been sick now for over 5 years, and I have stomach pain, intestinal pain, bowels, vary from diarrhea to severe gas to upper reflux, constipation, belching. My rectum is always burning. I've had many tests and the results were negative. I was told to take a acid blocker twice a day. I am not on any regular medication due to its high cost. I took myself off the stomach pills. I just stopped the gabapentin, the migraine medication. I suffer with asthma. I'm so frustrated with no medical insurance, and I don't know where to find help. The last 5 years, I've noticed my trigger foods are anything that contain onion, garlic, black pepper, sugar, nutmeg, which cause extreme pain. A few questions is how to narrow my search to what will help. I started a program in September with protein shakes, and I've lost over 50 pounds, but I'm still very overweight. I have autoimmune disease since 1995. Linda. All right, Linda, appreciate you writing into us, and I'm happy to help. This seems actually somewhat straightforward. It looks like there is some type of bacterial overgrowth or yeast overgrowth, most likely both. And you might have some H. pylori because there's some belching, there's some upper GI issues such as the acid reflux, and you're reacting to any of the foods that are higher in histamine. So there seems to be a histamine issue such as the onions and garlic and black pepper and nutmeg. But also you're reacting to a lot of these prebiotics or items with fructin in them, such as the onions and the garlic. Not just that, any of the FODMAPs, which are you don't need to know this, but it's the fructo, oligo, di, mono, and polysaccharides, types of sugars that allow for fermentation in the gut. And so you just named a bunch of those. And those, again, are prebiotics, which is why probably a probiotic isn't your best bet right now. What I would do, hands down, is very similar to what I just gave to Deanna. And the reason is that, after a while when you suffer, and you've been suffering for years, you just need the answer. That's the truth, that's why, although I was very sick for many years, I wanted a diagnosis. I wanted the name of a disease that I could just be like, see, that's what I have. And even if I couldn't get better, I wanted to know what I had. And so I got those diagnoses. And of course, I wasn't happy with the answer because I was just told to take these medications for the rest of my life. And then, of course, I went deeper into functional medicine and found out there's actually a way to fix all of these diseases of the body by not treating the disease itself, but actually by rebalancing with the underlying root causes that cause the issues in the first place. So what I did was this, is that I ran these functional medicine labs. Again, you might not be able to, and I understand that, so I'm going to give you options, right? So first I would do the organic acids test, and I would do the stool test. The stool test will look for the H. pylori. People ask me all the time, why aren't you doing this lab? Why are you doing that? Remember, we've done thousands and thousands and thousands of labs, and we've used at least 50 different labs to figure out which ones are best. The reason why we like our stool test is because you have a 3-day sample, and a 3-day sample gives you more time and opportunity to find other things. Because if it's there on one of the days, it's a positive. If it wasn't there one of the days, doesn't mean you don't have it, means you didn't find it, right? So we like the 3-day sample. Organic acids test and stool test for sure. Of course, you could add the food test, but not as important as these first two to look for bacterial overgrowth, parasites, yeast overgrowth, etc. If you can't do that, if you can't afford the lab test, I understand. And what I would do is the daily nutritional support powder every day. Make sure you're getting your nutrients. And I would do the Candida and bacterial overgrowth protocol. That's the place to start. And Linda, I hope you get the answers that you deserve. You got the answers now. I hope that you get the results that you deserve. All right. Kara's up next. Kara's asking, hi, Dr. Ball. I give my 2.5-year-old a 4th scoop of your daily nutritional support powder in the smoothie, a 1/4 of a teaspoon of your daily fruit and vegetable blend, and some of the probiotic. Not sure that was the best for her infant to 2 years, but that is what I've been recommended to me. Can I give her a portion of your daily probiotic at this time? As far as boosting the immune system, before traveling for airplanes, I would always give her elderberry probiotic and Camu Camu on top of that concoction. Is Camu Camu still a good choice, or would you give her the full spectrum vitamin C? She's about 23 pounds. Really great questions. And Kara, I know that you wrote in on May 8th, so of course I'm answering you a little late, but you can look up our Children's Immune Protocol. It's what I do for my 2 girls before they get in the plane. They're using the echinacea from Herb Farm. They're using the vitamin C from Child Life. They're using the Symbicol from the same company. That's the immune booster in the yellow box. We have it all written out, though, so I'm actually just going to put in the notes for you to link it up. Just go to stevencabral.com/912. I'll put in the Children's Immune Booster right there. We do that the day before they get in the airplane, the day of the airplane, the day after, and then, of course, if they caught something, we continue on with it. What else did you ask? Could they use the regular probiotic? Sure. Just about a quarter of a dose to half a dose would be totally fine. You're doing great in terms of dosage of what you're doing. Fantastic. You're doing great. So hopefully that's the answer that you were looking for. The full spectrum vitamin C is fine if you like those herbs. To get my daughters to drink it really simply, we put it in one of those little plastic medicine cups. They used to use a plastic spoon when they were much younger. We would just put it in their mouth, spoon it into their mouth, or a squirter as well. They're all great. Just depends on what your child's willing to do. But we just make it all liquid, right? Because for kids, liquid's the easiest way to go rather than getting the powders or things like that in terms of the full spectrum vitamin C. Of course, that's a great product, but I want you to do what's best for your child. All right, Kara's up next. Kara's writing in. Hi, Dr. Ball. I'm almost through your Rain Barrel Effect book. It's absolutely incredible and very practical for everyone as a foundation. I'm curious about your take on furniture, couches and beds with flame retardants or without flame retardants. They're hard to find. We got ourselves an IntelliBed when I was pregnant, and it doesn't have the flame retardants. They use silica thread to serve for that purpose. I got my daughter a Naturepedic mattress. We got a couch from a boutique place that was furnished with no chemicals. Just thought I'd check in on your mattress recommendations, pillows. I know you have great bamboo sheet recommendations. In gratitude, thank you for all you do. All right, so usually this website is only reserved for people that read my book, The Rain Barrel Effect, but I didn't write The Rain Barrel Effect to make a profit or anything like that. All profits are actually donated to charity, and we donate to Vitamin Angels and a few other great charities as well. But all of the natural-based products that I can currently recommend are over at stevencabral.com/RBE. That's a private page. I've never announced that before, but it's written in the Rain Barrel Effect many, many times. As we get more and more recommendations, I bring those to you. I have a couple organic mattresses that we have in my home, and they're great. They are. The comfort isn't where I would like to be, so I have a hard time recommending them right now. We're going to work on more of those in the future. They are expensive, so when I give a recommendation, I want people to know, like, hey, this is great. Like, I love it, and I want you to try it out as well. But you're doing the right thing. That's exactly what we look for. We look for the same things. We look for, I didn't love the one that was made more of latex. I do like more of the wool-based ones, but I'm okay with the latex-based ones. It is more natural. I look for the ones without springs, or if there are springs, then I use my tri-field meter. I use my meter to actually test that to see if that's going to be an issue in terms of EMFs. So many different things. My daughters don't have any springs in their mattresses. They're just completely filled mattresses. Well, that's basically what we do. I use the organic bamboo-based sheets. So those are my recommendations. And then I just gave you the link to look for more, which is like shower filters and bath filters that I use and water filters and saunas. So go check that out. Enjoy it. Hopefully it serves you well. But it sounds like you're doing great. It absolutely sounds like you are on the right path. So keep it up. Donna's up next. She writes in, greetings, Dr. Brawl. I have 3 options of daily contact solution, and I would love your recommendations. I have an AccuVive, I have the BioTrue, and I have the AccuComfort Plus. And I'm looking at the one that would be healthiest for me. Thank you for sharing your knowledge, experience, and advice on so many topics. Although I don't wear contact lenses, this is actually something I've looked into for family members and people in the practice, and for sure it would be BioTrue, and it would be with the borate buffered saline. So the borate saline actually it's an alkaline-based range from a pH above 8, and what it does is it's able to kill bacteria through the borate saline itself and through that higher pH as well. So that's the one that I would recommend. Great question. Thank you for writing in. And Donna, hopefully that helps. All right, so next up is Danielle. Danielle is asking, hi, Dr. Brawl. I listen to a ton of podcasts, and yours is my favorite. I'd love to know what kind of diet you follow. Maybe you could tell us what you normally eat in a day. Much gratitude to you, Danielle. Danielle, thanks so much for writing in. I actually talk about this quite a bit on previous podcasts. One of them that you might want to check out is how to complete a functional medicine detox. So check that out, how to complete a functional medicine detox. And the other one is a fun episode called How Not to Retox After You Detox. So check that out. Both of those talk about my natural human diet. And what I'm going to do is give you the outline, though. And I'm going to give you a photo. Go to drcabraldetox.com. Or you can go to the Equilibrium Nutrition and just click on the Dr. Ball Detox. You'll see an infographic, basically a graphic that shows you the day 3 through 7 meal plan. So even if you've never done the Dr. Ball Detox, which I do seasonally, many people in our community do seasonally, hundreds of people every month, 100 people in a private practice, thousands of people every month do the Dr. Ball Detox. And it's basically, it follows Ayurvedic as well as state-of-the-art medicine, which gives your body a better chance of maintaining homeostasis, since your liver is the organ, the most important organ, I would argue, in terms of overall health, since it's filtering all of your blood every single day. It's helping to produce cholesterol and hormones and all of those great things. So what I do is I do a smoothie every morning, and you can look up the recipes just in the welcome package. And then for lunch, I do a vegan-based lunch. Mid-afternoon is an optional snack for me. Depends if I'm going to be eating later. It depends on exercise. If I'm exercising that afternoon, if I want to do a little something before my exercise, which would often be a juice, a fresh pressed juice, or it might be a little bit more berries or fruit. It could vary. It could vary from time to time. And I don't typically do a mid-afternoon snack. Used to do a lot. I used to eat 5 to 6 times a day, and now it's mainly 3 times a day with an optional mid-afternoon snack. And then for dinner, oftentimes, it's always the same, right? So it's always going to be my starch, it's my vegetables, which is the predominance of my meal. It's a healthy fat 100% of the time. It's olive oil, meaning like 99 will say, well, that might be overboard. Let's say it's 90 out of 100. 90 out of 100 meals is olive oil as my healthy fat. And then at lunch, I'll typically do some avocado. And then for protein at night, that's the only thing that varies. It could be fish. It could be meat every once in a while. I don't really eat red meat, but it could be some type of turkey or duck or chicken, but that's not often. More often than not, it's fish. And then I'm also, some of those a few nights a week as well, would still be a completely vegan-based dinner, which would include some black bean soup or hemp parts, which are one of my favorite, but I do those oftentimes at lunch. It could be hummus if I'm doing more of a Mediterranean dinner that my wife and I like to do. So that's my diet in a nutshell. And it's very, very close to what you're doing on the Dr. Ball Detox. The difference is I'm adding starch. I'm adding my sweet potatoes and my yams and my squashes, and I might do some rice, and I do some oatmeal, but that's usually in the morning. So in the morning, I can do a smoothie and oatmeal, and that's because I'm a body type and my activity level where I need a little bit more carbohydrates, but that's not for everyone. So that's kind of an overview. I hope it helps, and definitely I've talked about it on those 2 podcasts, and you can see the exact eating routine from days 3 through 7 of the Dr. Ball Detox. The difference is I don't just do the shake powder. I'm actually doing a whole smoothie, which contains a couple cups of blueberries and spinach, and I put a little bit of coconut cream in there oftentimes, or I might put in some pumpkin seeds instead for healthy fat. And that's what I do. And it works amazingly well for my body and many, many thousands of other people. So I hope that works for you if you want to try that as well. My supplements I always talk about, and those are the Dr. Ball Daily Protocol in the morning. Check that out. It's just Dr. Ball Daily Protocol at equilibriumnutrition.com. All right, who is up next? Zhang's up next. Zhang is asking, greeting, Dr. Ball. I have a question about the parasite test you use. I've heard from another functional medicine practitioner that the GI MAP genetic-based stool test is the best stool test on the market. I'm wondering why you feel BioHealth's is superior to the GI MAP stool test. Thank you. All right, Zhang, great question. Kind of answered that earlier. I love the GI MAP. I think it's a great lab. It's funny, though, like how one has to reign supreme. It's like one diet's the best in the world, one protein's the best in the world, one whatever's the best in the world. I'm open to many different things, and hopefully you are as well, because that's the way to truly get well. It's like, all right, what works great sometimes could be improved upon in the future, and oftentimes might be need a little bit different for people's bodies. What we do is we simplify the process. I've been doing functional medicine lab testing for many, many years. As a practitioner, I've been doing it for, trying to do the math, 8 years? 8 years of lab testing with other people? Maybe 9? Somewhere around there. But on myself, I've been doing it now for 2 decades. And I've spent the money. I tell you that all the time, right? It's like a lot of lab companies approach me and they say, well, how would you like to use our lab test? And I say, hey, I'll check it out. It's a new lab test. Why wouldn't I be open to it? I'll try it out. And then what I do, and they don't know this, but I purchased one of the lab tests as well. So now I do a double blind. They don't know it, but I do. And I write a different name for the lab test. And then what I do is I take the sample on the same exact day, the same exact time, under the same exact environment, and I ship them the same time. The only difference is the name. So that's when I look at the results. And if the results aren't exactly the same, not close, but if they aren't exactly the same, then I don't use that lab. It's thrown out, right? But then after that, I get a bunch of labs, and of course, the majority of them are absolutely sound. So the ones that aren't sound are these fun little tests that we see on Instagram sometimes, and they're designed by, like, no offense, but they're designed by like venture capital companies that are just looking to collect data and then sell your data, like we just saw what happened with 23andMe. And they're great and they're fun, but like I just worry about those. I just want to stick with companies that are in this for functional medicine and the practice itself. So anyway, that's my take. Why do I use BioHealth? Bottom line is this, is they have a human look at it besides just a machine, and it's a 3-day sample. So I get 3 opportunities to find something rather than just one, because you don't always find it on just one lab test or just one day's sample. So hopefully that was helpful, Zhang, and those are my recommendations there. All right, let's see. I'm going to answer one more question today, and then we'll call it a weekend of community questions answered. Hi there, new listener. My daughter turned me on to you, and I'm so happy to have found you. Thank you for sharing your knowledge with us. I'm a 67-year-old woman. My question is, how do I know if I have arthritis? I've had pain for about 6 months in the hip, then it moved to the shoulder, and now it seems the pain is moving around my body. At worst, it's an 8 to 10. I've been taking ibuprofen for the pain, but obviously don't want to do that daily. What can I do? I know I need to clean up my diet a bit. So what do I stay away from? All the best. Thank you so much. Really great data. Thank you for sending this over, that it travels through your body. So arthritis is not going to travel through the body in that way. That would be very, very strange if it was osteoarthritis. Osteoarthritis is going to affect the hip or any joint, right? Now, osteoarthritis can affect any joint, right? New joint, hip joint, those are typically the most predominant, but anything it can affect. What would move around your body? Now we're talking about inflammation-based arthritis, maybe rheumatoid arthritis, but typically it's going to start with the hands like it did with me. Not always for sure. Could be the elbows, for sure. Like it affects people in different ways. But what we're looking at is some type of, yes, maybe some arthritic-based pain, but not necessarily in the realm of osteoarthritis. I would look towards rheumatoid arthritis, but also then I would say, okay, well, even if it is, let's look at an inflammation-based response. How can you test this? Okay, I'd run the organic acids test. I would run the omega-3 test to look at inflammation, and I would look at the organic acids test to start in terms of gut-based function and the overall kind of load on the system. That's where I would start. Of course, the Dr. Cabral Big 5 is like the absolute best way to start, meaning like it's 5 lab tests that gives you an entire picture, an entire scope of the body. It's absolutely amazing. The only thing that could be more amazing is if you had the stool test to it. So that's my recommendation, Anne-Marie, because for me, it's just guesswork, right? It's like literally just guesswork right now. If you're asking me what diet plan to use, sure, this is what I would recommend, okay? Run the lab test if you can, but then do the Dr. Cabral Detox. Why? The Dr. Cabral Detox is going to do a bunch of things. Re-regulate inflammation. It's going to help to lower that and balance it to a healthy level. It's going to balance out the inflammation, the blood sugar, the hormones. If you feel phenomenal after a 21-day detox, well, you've kind of found your answer. It was nutrition-based. Let's clean up the diet. And what we want to do is, again, listen to the podcast I just talked about earlier, how not to retox after a detox. My brother-in-law gave me the name for that show, so all credit goes to him, because it's a topic, right? It's like how not to just relapse, basically. So you can begin to learn how to maintain that diet, still enjoy your cheat meals, enjoy your favorite foods. But so check out that show, How Not to Retox After a Detox, and the 21-day Dr. Cabral Detox, but only after you run the labs. That's what I would do. Hopefully the recommendations here have been helpful. If they have been, please always do feel free to share this show with anyone you believe it could serve. Thank you so much, everyone. I truly appreciate each and every one of your listens, and I can't wait to chat with you tomorrow on our Motivation and Mindset Monday. Stay tuned. I want to sincerely thank you for your support of this podcast. I couldn't do it without you, and I mean that. I truly do. I also want to make sure you knew that we now have multiple ways for you to find your answers to the most difficult health, wellness, weight loss, and anti-aging questions. You can find podcast-specific topics like thyroid, adrenal, hormones, sleep, digestion, Ayurveda, and many more at stephencabral.com/podcasts that will then link you to your favorite Apple, Spotify, and other podcast players. Plus, all new podcasts and weekly exclusive video content is being added to our YouTube channel at
youtube.com/Stephen Cabral. And that's Stephen with a PH. Head on over and subscribe so that you don't miss any of the exclusive content. Lastly, if you've ever found any of my podcasts or books to be helpful, I would really appreciate it if you could leave a review on iTunes or your favorite media player for the podcast. Rating and subscribing to the YouTube and podcast allow me to reach more and more people and help spread my mission of healing throughout the world. Thank you again for being a part of this movement.